the females facing off, and that was very special and unique, and I thought, I think we delivered.
Good, just a touch. Hopefully next season you'll be on Straight Up Steve Austin.
Maybe, if you're lucky.
Yeah. I'm back. Okay, so...
Now we can see you.
Yes, you can. Only I don't have the belt with me, but that's okay. Okay, so I've got a few more questions. I'm sorry, I know I have way too many questions.
You have nothing to apologize for. You're doing my job for me. I get to relax.
Yeah.
Like, thank you.
Okay,
It's a
so...
Q&A. That's
Thank
what
you.
we do here.
So, I got 3 of them. So first, is there anyone in particular that was around during your time that you wanted to wrestle that you never got a chance to wrestle?
Okay, I'm gonna answer one first.
Okay.
I'm gonna answer one at a time. No, that's part of the reason I was ready to retire. I felt like I've faced everyone that I want to face, you know, that's in front of me, that's available to wrestle. So that's one of my my pros and cons list, right? Was like I felt really satisfied with my career at that time to be able to move on. So that answers that. Oh, and I'll tell you that.
Can I throw a tiny little follow-up into that?
Yeah.
Were there any gimmick matches of any kind that you didn't get to do that you would have liked to? Like a table, ladders, and chairs match with so-and-so, that kind
Well, I
of
would have loved to do a cage match. I know that, like, just that challenge would have been super cool to do.
thing? You're saying that Sasha Banks, you, Hell in a Cell,
Basically
2020?
is what I'm saying. Basically, that's what I'm saying. He's booking stuff now. So yeah, I would have loved to have done that match, yeah.
Next question.
Next question.
Okay, so question number 2. So obviously, like, you were a major star during your time before
Obviously.
before you came along.
She arrived a star.
Well, of course.
She did. Just stating facts.
And then before you came along, the major star of women's wrestling was Sable, but she came back during your time. Was there ever talks of you and her ever having a program or a match with each other?
No, it never came up. It's funny, I guess they were so focused on me being the wrestler girl at the time, you know what I mean? That was focused on doing that and building that division. They didn't even decide to make our paths cross at all. And people think that too, like she's almost like the Charlotte with Trish, kind of like different generations, but it was never brought up. She was purely brought in for that storyline, did that with Tori, and that was that.
And then my last and final question, or at least if I don't think of anything else. Okay, so after you had left, that's when like TNA, now Impact, back when they were actually good, they started to be shady there, but I think we all can agree on that. And
What's
so,
another comment? Go ahead.
Just having our tea over here, don't mind us.
Yep.
So during that time, like that's when like the Knockouts division became big. You had like Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, Beautiful People. Did you ever consider going to TNA at some point?
I can tell you guys a secret.
Yes.
Don't tell anyone.
I did get a call to possibly, when they were first bringing in the Women's Championship, and you know, Gail was the first winner of that, they wanted me to come back or come there and win the Women's Championship, be the first champion. And it was really like, I mean, even like Hogan called me at the time, and he was like, you know, we talking about it, and it was something like I'm a WWE girl, like through and through, and I'm just a company girl, and I just was like, and I know people jump ship and they end up coming back eventually kind of thing, and that was one of the things, they're like, they'll take you back anyway, and you'll be bigger because blah, 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 and I just didn't feel right to burn that bridge, and although it would have been a cool moment, and like from a wrestling perspective, I'm like, oh my God, to have that as, you know, have that accolade as a son would be amazing, but yeah, it just didn't feel like a right moment for a right move for me to do at the time, so there's my secret. Don't tell anyone.
You got it. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
So WWE licensing, they will put a wrestler's picture on anything, ever.
They do, yeah.
I'm just curious if you have a favorite piece of merchandise that bears your likeness in some way, even if it's maybe
Even if
not
it's a
correct
likeness.
likeness.
Or just something weird, or would they put my face on what?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's interesting. We're on, like, I have a bunch of lighters with me on it, which is, you know, interesting. Definitely not geared towards the right crowd. Like, they would make lighters with your wrestlers nowadays, right? Oh, Jeff Hardy's here, ladies and gentlemen. Bed sheets, bath towels, you know, strange. Wipe your body with meat. I mean, you know, interesting.
Bathe the Trish Stratus way.
Yeah, or dry off, or wipe off, or whatever. But anyway, so interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. And it was cool, you know, to see that. You'd see your likeness pop on.
It was cool, and then it was weird.
It was weird. There was times it was like, that's weird. But it was neat to see it, you know, that we were so popular, the superstars were so popular, we were popping up on everything. It was kind of cool.
Okay, so now, I'm really impressed that it hasn't been asked or anything, but you and Lita invented an episode of Raw.
We what?
We invented an episode of Raw.
Yeah, we did.
Now, how long in advance did you guys know you were going to do that, and how did you guys prepare for it leading up to that night?
We knew that afternoon.
Really?
So what happens is, in the wrestling world, folks come backstage with me, you show up to the building, you walk in and there's a little whiteboard with a bunch of names scribbled on it in a list in order of your card, the card for the evening, and Lita and I were the main event, and we're like, we actually thought it was like a joke, like the boys were like watching to see what we do and be like, let's see how they react, and then crush them and tell them, but they didn't tell us, and next thing you know, agents were coming up to us and we're like, what? And they were congratulating us, people were congratulating us, and we're like, oh my God, this is real. And at the time we were working a program, so we were on the road doing regular live events, which are not televised events, other house shows. And we've been working together, so we had, like the thing about Amy and I, we've worked, for so long. We've worked since we started together. And we know each other so well in the ring, and I feel like, we're good at reading each other's body language, and I feel like we know how to work a crowd well together because now there's Team Bestie, so we've got one big fan base, but it used to be a definite divide. It was Trish Stratus fan or a Lita fan. They did not like each other, right? So it was fun to like play into that during the matches and stuff like that. So we knew we had a good bag of tricks that we could pull out, But yeah, we put the match together and we went out there and they ended up giving us longer. Like we had, I think at like 10 extra minutes, we were like, and then in your mind, you plan a match in your head sort of like by how long it would be because, as you know, there's a form. Do you guys know there's a formula? We know there's a formula, right? We know this, right? Yeah, comeback and and the shine, yeah. So, we did it, and it was like a really cool moment because we we knew we could do it, but that just proved that we could do it. You know what I mean?
Trusted too.
Yeah.
Trusted it.
Huh?
Trusted.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Hello, I decided to come back up here again.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I've attended every single WWE pay-per-view here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Love it.
My first pay-per-view was fully loaded at the now-defunct Reunion Arena, where you had the 6-man tag match with you, Testin Albert, against Lita and the Hardy Boys.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And one thing I remember about that match is the leather strap being brought out and beating the heck out of each other with a leather strap.
Yeah.
Did y'all plan that, or was it just part of the moment, or what happened with that?
Part of the moment and not fun.
It didn't look like it was fun.
How injured did everyone get from that specifically?
Oh my goodness. Luckily it wasn't like, not to say it's a gimmick strap, but it's a strap that is acceptable to use in a wrestling match. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Not designed for actual punishment.
Right. Well, it was punishment, I was like that much. So it was we had some welts for sure. There was a time I had a strap match, I think it was with Terry Reynolds, I don't know who it was. And it was like, they didn't have this gimmick strap. So they're like, just use a belt. That was not a good idea. So it was better than that time. That hurt a lot and I had welts all over my back, it was really bad. But it was, that's why I feel like, sometimes you gotta go to a certain level with a certain rivalry, and I mean like with me and Victoria, we started our matches were getting so intense that we ended up having hardcore matches and the steel chair got used and things like that. So I think it's just a natural trajectory for a certain feud or storyline rivalry.
I have a couple little things to wrap things up.
Yeah.
On that note...
You were gonna do a wrap-off? Is that what you said?
No, well,
Oh.
I'm gonna lose.
Sorry. I thought I was a wrap-off. I've been working on stuff. So.
There are unexpected things that happen during a match, sometimes happy accidents, sometimes not so happy accidents. Are there any things that occurred during a match that were unplanned that ended up feeding into, whether selling something in particular really well, something that you or your partner had to cover for that you feel like you rolled with really well in the moment, that was anything but planned?
Yeah, Amy broke my nose one time, oops, but the blood on my face, like the Becky Lynch moment, the blood on my face, you just felt like a savage, you know what I mean? So it kind of added to the moment for sure, so that was, but then the after effects of that was not nice. That's really it. I did lose a tooth one time in a match. which they caught it. If you go back and watch it, gosh, I think it was, I don't know, but you see this white thing fly up, and I was like, oh my god, that was my tooth. And so, you know, I felt like...
At least they got it on camera.
I think it was totally worth it, you know? Anyway, no, I mean, I would say everything not went as planned, but I was very lucky. All my stuff was pretty safe, like nothing, I didn't get injured once during a match, touch wood. Everything was sort of training for, or that sort of thing. I didn't really have many injuries that were like as a result of a match or anything, but yeah, there you go. Oh, I did have a dislocated shoulder once, but besides that, you know.
One last thing.
Yeah.
You know, all of us here, fans of Trish Stratus, fans of various science fiction franchises, cult films, that kind of thing. I gather that you and Amy Dumas, Leah, are fans of a cult film called Aztec Mummy versus the Wrestling Women.
Yes, is anyone familiar with this?
Okay, we're gonna blow some minds. Yeah, my friend John told me about it.
Johnny, want to come up here and tell us a little bit more about it?
Oh, it's been years since I've seen it.
Okay, tell us.
So,
Tell us about the genre.
So there are, in the 1950s.
Mike, right.
Back here.
See, I guess it's like the late 50s, early 60s.
Yes.
And there were female wrestlers they were making these cheap, like, wrestling films,
Yeah.
like sort of like genre action.
Like the lady werewolf, you know,
Yeah.
against the mummy or
Yeah,
something.
and they would sort of like actual, like they would have like an actress or two in the mix with actual like real wrestling women.
Yeah.
And I was writing for movies.com, and you and I spoke. Gosh, it's been years, but it was for the movie The Valiant.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the things that you mentioned in the conversation, which is why I brought it up to Moises, I was like, you know, when I was on the call with her, she brought up that she wanted to do this remake with Lita of Aztec Mummy. And I thought that was such a cool idea, and it's been a few years
been
now.
a-
It's like,
it's been a
where
decade.
is my Aztec Mummy movie, Trish?
Yeah, well,
It's
first of all,
those fetuses that keep popping up and taking the spotlight.
how did you become aware of this movie in the first
Well,
place?
so actually, I have to credit Amy for this. She is a huge fan of that genre. And and Meals Mas, I don't know what's his name. Right, okay. So she is a fan. She trained in Mexico, so she has that background. And she introduced me one time. We were just like at her place in Atlanta, and we were on the road together. And we stayed over at her place, and she showed me a few of those films, and it was kind of cool. We watched it, and then we're like, so then I don't even know if it popped. I think it was